Hello Internet and welcome to my Isetta restoration series. It's actually been some time since I've been working on the car, but today I finally got back the housing from the rear suspension and it has been water polished, which has given it this really nice and clean finish. I will tell you a little bit more about that. And as you can see, we have a lot of parts here, both old parts, old chains, old screws, nuts and bolts, new chain, bearings, seals, and of course some finished, painted and prepped parts for the rear suspension. So now we are going to show you how to put this all back together, and I think we're going to start by inserting some bearings in all of the housings here. If you saw the video where I dismantled the rear suspension, you might remember this one. It was slightly tricky to dismantle these bearings, but I found a way. And well, I just inserted new bearings in here. It's very much a lot easier than taking them out. It's basically just to press them in. And well, there's a little modern one here which is sealed, and then there's the original looking not sealed bearing, and the rest of the bearings are also in the same open state, not sealed state. The places here that has bearings are out here, and there's in the middle, and there is also one in here, but this one will need an oil seal in here, which we have to insert first. So I think I'm just going to start by putting this one in, and then this one, and then we will come back to this one. So there are two of the bearings properly seated in the housings, and I'm now going to install one of the three oil seals that is on the rear suspension here. By the way, I buy these kits from something called Isetta shop in Germany. So this kit is what I ordered for the rear suspension here, so I hope everything is in here. At least we have the three seals. So I'm just going to oil it up a little bit, then we will insert it gently in here. It's important that it's put the correct way, and the correct way is with the lip out, so the spring here will be facing outwards. So having all the three bearings in place, it's about to install the shaft, the drive shaft, if I can call it that. And well, I think the easiest way will be to just take this end through the middle one, and then I will start assembling some of the drive chains and stuff like that, which will sit on this one, and then we can put these other two housing on a little bit later. So my mistake there, actually did it in the wrong order. This one is supposed to go after, so actually I think I will insert this axle into this one, and then I will mate it to this. Then we can insert the gear, which will go on, well, you can see where the locking ring is, and then we'll insert the bearing afterwards. So I got the two housings mounted together with a gasket and some gasket glue between here. And well, I told you I'm going really back and forth now, but it was right the first time. It was just very tight clearance here, so I now have to push the bearings on here, and then the sprocket will go on the outside. So I think I just need to hammer this carefully down, and then we are basically in well, then we are basically there. Maybe I have to take the shaft out, I'm not sure. I will try to do it when it's inside here. Okay, so here's the shaft, and I found a method I think will work. I just are pushing this sprocket in, and it's pushing the bearing as well. And then when it's, I know it's in the correct amount when I can insert this locking ring right here on the tab which is marked here. So I'm just gonna carefully knock it in a little amount, and then we will see when we are far enough in. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, you can see the slotted place there. And now I can insert the ring, and hopefully this one is the correct way down now. Alright, so finally I have managed to get this axle in here with both bearings. You can see it is in here a little bit difficult, but it's now finally flush with the housing here, and the same on this side. So now I'm just going to insert a clip here, and then I think we're going to try and put on this, well, the other sprocket on this side, and then we are going to get on a new chain. Alright, so I have the chain laid out here, and this is a little bit interesting because how do you tension the chain? Well, as you can see, this is not in the center here, so, and there actually isn't any gaskets here either, which is, I find it a little bit weird, but that's how it is. So you put it in this well, in this hole here, and then you can basically just turn it, and then you will see you can tighten or slacken the chain by doing so. And also, I don't think you really need a gasket, because if you think about it, the oil is in here, and well, it's tilted like this, so the oil level will never really come up here, so I don't think that will be a problem anyway. And remember, when you're installing a chain, this little guy here has to be, well, obviously the correct way, and it has to be with the rotation, pointing with the rotation here. That's so if you are very unfortunate and this would hit anything, then you will hit it with a force from this side, and then this will not come off, it will only be punched even harder on. So that's just, have to remember that. Now I think I are going to install this, and actually, yeah, I have to split the chain because we have to get it on this one. Well, this is what I want to show you, that if I turn this now this way, I don't have a chance to actually put this in the hole. You can actually see the air gap here. But if I turn it like this, I will slacken the chain, and now I can get it in this hole here. And that's how we are going to tighten the chain. It's a bit difficult to see now maybe, but down here there are some big grooves. You can actually see the line here in the camera, so that's that indicates that this has not been adjusted properly earlier, and well, that's one of the main reasons for why I want to change this chain now, because it has definitely been very worn, the other chain. So that's a very nice and effective way. I just use the old bolts, and then I can just turn it slightly until I get the proper tension that I want. I definitely don't want it to hit, so I'm gonna have to tighten it a bit more. It's a new chain, so it should be a little bit more tight than if it was an old chain. Now that I'm happy with the tension on the chain, just have to get this properly seated in the housing here, and well, that's why I banged it with the hammer. But I think I would like to just apply some even pressure with maybe the vise here or something else I can find around the workshop. So the chain are in place and the sprockets are in place, and if I turn it around now, well, I can use this one. You can still... It's sort of a weird sound, and also the clearance here is not good. It's actually hitting the wall here, which is not okay. So what can I do? Well, this housing is on this, well, it's flush where it's supposed to be. I can actually move this axle back and forth. That will adjust the chain. But I want it to be straight. And now it's actually further out here, and I need actually to move this one more in. So what I need to do here is that you can see the locking rings on the sprocket here, and there is another one on the other side, and this is dead in the center here, so I can't really move this on the axle. But maybe I can actually hit the axle more in, so I will try and do that, but well, with some force, but not too much. And also this bearing right here, so you can see it's almost flush with the housing, but I will try and screw on this, because this is the plate which will sit on here, and then I will actually push it in probably the correct amount with this well, little extrusion that I have here. So I think I will try both of those things and see how we will end up, or where we will end up. Okay, so that was a huge fail. I have loosened the bolts here, so when I was hammering this axle in, I actually, well, as you can see, it got loose. Now there is glue here and stuff, so I'm pretty sure it will be okay if I put it back together, but, well, that's a big mistake right there, so it's starting to be late now, so I'm starting to mess up a lot of things. Maybe I should just go home. So after a little bit of fiddling, I finally managed to get the chain where I want it to be. It's now in the center of each sprocket here. So if I follow the line here, the distance is now pretty much the same. It's very good, I would say. And hopefully this gasket will still hold tight, even though it got loose. We will just pray for that. And we also figured out that when this one are in place, there isn't any chance of the chain hitting into the side here, even though this little guy is pretty close. You maybe remember the sound it made, and well, now the sound is a lot better. I can just show you here how close we actually are. and you can see that the locking tab is, well, I would call that dangerously close. So that's why it's so important. It's the correct way, so we don't hit it here, and it well, this time it will only get tighter, like I said. But if it was the other way, you would have a huge problem. So very close, I would say. Actually, whoops, extremely close. I'm not really comfortable with that, but there isn't really much I can do. Maybe we can hit it a little bit and get it over to the side, and also when we are tightening this one, things will change a little bit. I will actually look into that. But for now, I think I'll just prep the surface, remove this one again, and then we will get on the new housing, because we're pretty much done now. We're pretty much there. So after attaching this one with the bolt here, it will actually pull this apart, well, a little bit out, and then you will see that the clearance to the chain is all good. So this problem is now solved, and the chain is also very straight. And again, when I attach this one, it will actually push everything back together, so I think everything will turn out very good when everything is just slapped together. But the question still remains, how tight should the chain be? And this, well, there's probably several meanings about this, and there isn't really a good explanation or written in any manuals where I've found yet. Someone is saying 5mm is good, and my conclusion is that since there's a new chain here now, and there are the old sprockets, because these are very difficult to find new. I don't think you can find them new at all. So the other option would be to buy some other used ones, and I would probably be in the same situation. So I have chosen to take it slightly more tight than too loose. And the reason for it is that we have this very, very massive chain here, which is in oil, and it has a low friction, and there are 4 bearings, or 2 here, and there are actually 3 bearing here, and there are roller bearings, as you remember. And these bearings are very powerful and can take a lot of force, and so does this chain. So it will in the end go out over the sprocket. This will give more than the bearings and the chain. And that's why I would rather have it too tight, so this will adapt to the chain, rather than have it way too loose and the chain just getting all whacked up in here, and then you can't tighten it again and everything is just not good. So I'm not gonna take it extremely tight, but a little more tight than too loose. So how tight have I made the chain? Well, I took it so it's about 1 chain width in movement up and down here. So it will hit the housing at this point, but it will not get so much force in this direction. So I don't think you will hear that, because this will be on the tension side anyways. It will be pulled this way. This is the compression side. So I think this will be good. There is another manual which says that you should tighten the chain with this one, and I will come back to that later when it's all back together, when you hear the chain slapping in the housing. And I think that's a bit extreme. So I think we will let it be. I think this will be good. It rolls very nicely without too much force now and resistance, and it's also quite tight. Well, will you look at that? Finally, it's together. I did have the issues with pushing out the bearings when I was trying to push in the axle, and this one was going out and all that. I'm sure there is a better way to do it, or a better procedure to do it than what I did. But at least it's back together now, and it's looking good. All I need to do is to just seal it off. So that means putting on all this stuff. And I will wait to do this part, because this will need the brake shield, so we will come to that later, because it's not finished painted yet. So we'll start by sealing this unit off, and also maybe I should start with this one. Basically just putting on the adjuster plate here. I think this is the first thing to do, and maybe we'll just continue putting this on the unit. There we go. So now this end is basically done. Everything is mounted on there, we only need the wheel now. And moving on to this side, we can adjust this one now. And earlier we did make some marks, as you can see down here, which is the position where I wanted it to be to get the tension that I wanted on the chain. So hopefully the marks on this one will match up to the two holes here, and or at least one of the two holes, and then we can get close to the marks that we have on the other side and get the tension that we wanted. That is basically right on the money, I would say. It's time to put on the flange on the other side, and this one has a small extrusion and a slightly larger extrusion here. And I'm taking the small extrusion to the housing. So here's the thing, this one is going in here, right? And then we have this oil seal that will sit in here and keep the oil inside the case. But the thing is that this one is actually larger than this one. I don't know why, I think maybe I have the wrong part this time. I will check it out, but definitely this is useless, this will not do the job. So I'll just leave it be like this for now, and we will come back to that later. And there we go! The chain case is now finally assembled completely. It's only, of course, the missing piece at this end, which is the brake shield, but that I will mount on later. And now every vital part is basically on. I just need to fill it with oil, which I will do a little bit later. And like I mentioned in the start, you can see how shiny this is. This has been through a water polish process, which is not as rough as sandblasting. It's much smoother, so the surface here is very easy to clean now, and it will look this good for a long time. So that's really cool, and all the marks I've got now by working on it, it will very easily clean off, which I will do later. And for those of you that paid really good attention, you will now see that I've changed all the old bolts out with new bolts. It's only the larger bolts, which is here and around here, that I have kept the original ones, because, well, I just thought that was suitable. And well, it looks real nice, all new hardware basically, and hopefully it's also will hold the oil in. And if you like this content, please follow my channel. There will be more Isetta stuff coming on, and there will also be other reviews this summer, hopefully, of other cool cars. And well, please like the channel, subscribe, click the bell, and as always, stay home and stay safe.